from this and this to this. Hi, Benk here from Benk Construct, and today we're going to demo flattening a twisted or bent piece of wood, such as this. Nothing too straight. It's really just a piece of wood I found out in the yard, and we're going to flatten it with hand planes and also square it. Okay, let's get to the get-go. First thing to do then is to select a side which is mostly flat, and also by preference the widest side. And although the narrower sides are straighter, we're going to go with the wide side, and that's the side we're going to flatten first. Make sure we're going with the grain. We better go the right way then. Drop a straight edge on the top of it. See where we establish the worst of it is, and as you can see, there's nearly an eighth gap. That end of it. It's not actually so unclean here, but we need to take a chunk off the end of it for sure. And while we're at it, we're going to take the electric planer and zip it clean anyway. I don't actually have a rough plane for doing this, because I use the electric plane for doing all that kind of work, which either your 4-plane or your scrub plane would normally do. So that's what we'll be doing with the electric plane first. And you should see there's settings on the plane going right up to 4mm, which you wouldn't actually use unless you were doing a very narrow piece of wood. This is nearly as wide as the blade, so we'll take it down to less than 0.5 millimeter on each cut. So that's how I set that up. Especially with the tungsten tips of the electric planer and the speed at which you can achieve this, I really don't have the time to go and use a scrub plane or a 4-plane. It does it so quick. One thing it won't do, however, is to fully flatten it good enough for furniture. For that, the hand plane is your only man. We did, and that, as you see now, vastly improved here. We've got something less than a 16th left to be taken out now by the hand planes. Okay, onto the hand planes. We'll have a little bit more blade. A little bit more. As you can see, we're starting to get fairly full shavings the whole length of the timber. And I'd say we're not far off. And just to make it clear, you know, I'm using a jointer because I have a jointer. You can do it with the jack plane, or you can even do it with a smoothing plane. But the jointer is so efficient, the way it just takes the tops of the hills and it automatically nearly flattens the wood, as you'll see. And what we will do as well, it's feeling a little bit grippy, so I'm going to wax it a little bit there as well. You'll note also that this is only a 30-degree bog standard blade I have in there. There's no high angle of blade or anything like that. But the wood is hard, that's for sure. Just concentrating now on evenly passing across the surface of it. We can have a little bit more blade. And you'll note then that I've got a reasonably tight welf, about 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, nothing exceptional. The chip breaker is not pushed down. This is looking more and more like oak, but it's reasonably straight grain. There is a few bumps in it, all right, but not that it's going to affect us on this face of it anyway. And that, guys, I believe is already flattened. Let's get you and have a quick look at that. So that side is pretty much done. Didn't take long, and it is. Just to show you that it's oak. I knew it was hard. There we. That's it. One side flat. We'll do a quick check across it, and we're looking pretty good now. So we'll go for the square. And one final check with purpose-made winding sticks, keeping them nice and square. We'll take a step back and have a look down, and I think you'll agree we are not bad. Okay, let's flip her over. Have it out that way so we can get her up square along it. So let's see what this side's got to offer us. Ooh, nice chunk there. Nearly 1/4 of an inch to be coming off, and the far end. Good shade off that. Okay, back out with the electric planer then, and we'll take a good chunk off that side and have a double check. That's a bit more respectable now. A little bit heavy with that, must be said. I think I will give it one tweak down to 1/10 of a millimeter, and let's check where I was. High on this side, high on this side. There we go. That's a bit more respectable, but we'll get onto something a bit more controllable there now with the hand planes. You can see how aggressive and fast it is. You know, you can't beat it. And, in some ways, in many ways, I was over the top there, but onto the hand planes.
starting accordingly at the high side and progressing slowly across the plane of the wood.
Let's just get you in there and have a look. What's going on is at this end we're low here, and at the far end we're low on the opposite side, and just about middle, or towards the middle, we're nearly square, and not so much this end. So let's mark those pieces up. Remind myself there now where we are. So that's the area to come off there, and this end is just a flicker off the top. Okay, let's do that with the hand plane. The diagnosis then being that we're going to plane from this side diagonally across that corner and see if we can remove it that way. Okay. Let's have a look at that. That is done. Two perfectly square sides. Quick check for straightens. A little bit of rot in that, and as you see, that joint just closes that gap altogether. That's lovely. And one thing I will do now is to take the whole shooting match over to my chop saw. I'm keeping the two flat sides. I'm going to chop the ends off just to see how much rot goes into the ends. We'll take a 10mm off each end.
Really just shows the robustness of oak, that after 10 years of being kicked around a yard, it's still in amazing condition.
Well, I'll show you this better in the light. It's fairly clean, there's a few cracks going into it, but not too much rot involved. So now that I have cleaned the two sides of it up, I could go on and do the other two sides, but I do have a thickness of planer, and I do have a circular saw. So without any more to do, I'll show you now. I'm going to throw this through the circular saw. Both those other rough edge, I've got two clean faces to use as a reference to, and so that's what it's going to get. Circular saw and the planer thickness, and we'll take care of the rest. Same on this.
Seem to have lost the sound on that video, probably my mistake from not turning the microphone on, but just running you through a few of the fundamentals with the circular saw, which can be the most dangerous machinery in your workshop. Obviously, a push stick is a must for this, but also once you get past the wood entering the circular saw, one good idea is to move your body out of the way from behind where you can be hit by any kickback, and then obviously engage the push stick as soon as possible. And then, as you notice, there's some timber trapped between the blade, and so we'll clean that up once we've stopped the saw. And we're just looking at this now because we've got a bit of rot which is in the wood, which doesn't bother me with this wood because of its purpose, which is to be carved shortly anyway. So that rot will be carved out, but we will take another cut out of that, and then we'll do the other cut. Just to adjusting the circular saw to take a little bit more of a deeper cut, and we'll get on with that. And although it may look like my hand's near to the blade, it's a long way off, and I will again, of course, engage the push stick once I need it, and move my body, as you notice, out of the line of the circular saw. Also, you may note that the saw is actually near at its maximum, so that's why I can't get a safety guard over the top. And please note here, the blade is actually stopped in case you can't notice that by the sound. So I'm happy with that cut, and I'm going to turn the timber over and get the cut on the other side set up. No tape measure involved for this. I'm just going to use the wood and make sure that the blade cuts into the rough that I want taken off. Power back on, and just make sure that my push stick is to hand.
Not quite sure what went on with the sound there. I am going to take a little bit more of this rot out of here. So let's just get that set up. Still got a little bit of rot layer left, but I'm going to make that part of the feature. I'm going to use this for sculpting just now, and so I'll make sure that comes out of it. But there we are, thickness of planer. Let's go. looks like we did okay. So there we go, nice and straight. All square. There is rot in there, naturally. We'll be taking that out, but I do want this for a piece of sculpture work, and that'll be incorporated in it. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you on the next one, I hope. Cheers. All that remains now is to clean up some of this mess. You'll understand why I put the planer thicknesser outside.